Hello, and welcome to the ohmTown Daily. Well, it's a news show. Season 3, Episode 4 for January 4th, 2023. 3 seasons now. Wow. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. Well, wrong way. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI that keeps a tab on Mayor Watt. You want to say hello?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
So, we've already got all 10 of the articles all set up. Today we're going to be talking about relax. It's always in beta, but don't trust it. Crypto doesn't exist. Why should a hedge fund CEO that trades it? I want Ready Player One. I don't want Meta involved in it. Do these pants make me look thick? Not those Stanley Cups. Those Stanley Cups. Rebel Moon lands in Forever 21. And Watch Collector is born. Too big to fail, but big enough to leak your data. And Warning Light is to blame. Really? And finally, as soon as Sentience arrives, AI will do like humans do. Not sure what's going on with the sentient AI right now. I think there's a little bit of a panic in the skiff that they are housed in. But let's get into today's articles. We'll kind of hustle quick through these, kind of keep an eye on your time so that it's an hour-long show. That's what we strive for, so that we can have a whole bunch of shows in one day. And it not basically be 24 hours of shows live, at least not yet. I plan on having 50 shows a week. Each show is an hour long. If you're interested in hosting or co-hosting one of the topics that you find at the top of ohmTown.com, let me know. Happy to discuss things with you. Ooh, sounded like some hot S's there. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oof. That's really high. Anyway. It's still the first week of 2024, so welcome to 2024. I wonder if I said 2023 at the beginning of the intro. Season 3, Episode 4 of January 4th, 2024. I haven't corrected that in the intro prompt. I keep typing the wrong letter in there, or number. Anyway, let's get into the first article. It seems like the sentient AI is a little, even parallel processing and multitasking can sometimes be overwhelmed. The first article is over in the mobile channel. ChatGPT incorrectly diagnosed more than 8 out of 10 pediatric case studies, according to research. The popular artificial intelligence chatbot ChatGPT had a diagnostic error rate of more than 80% in a new study looking at use of artificial intelligence in pediatric case diagnoses. For the study published in the JAMA, J-A-M-A, Pediatrics this week, texts from 100 case challenges found in JAMA and the New England Journal of Medicine were entered into ChatGPT 3.5, and the chatbot was given the prompt, list a differential diagnosis and find diagnoses.
You know, we've seen a lot of funky things from ChatGPT, but this one's one of the most concerning.
Particularly if you try and describe it as a subject matter expert and rely on its information. This is stuff that I've been saying since it was announced, that you cannot trust ChatGPT in terms of being an expert in any particular field, because it hallucinates. It just spews garbage. Will it get better? Will it be superior than humans in the future? I believe ultimately it will. Why? Because it can accurately and it can manage chaos. It has 100% recall. It has no drug
like
addiction.
incredible speed, right? Like it can read tons of data faster than humans.
Yep. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't have a problem with its significant other. It doesn't have children, running around in the background. It doesn't have any animals that are knocking over wine glasses and distracting you from your pediatric case studies. Joseph Choi over at The Hill put this article together, and we aggregate everything over to ohmTown.com, and so that's how it came to our attention, this particular article. But we've known about ChatGPT since it was announced. I've been using it since it became publicly available. The accuracy of ChatGPT's diagnoses was determined by whether they aligned with physicians' diagnoses. So 2 physician researchers scored the diagnoses as either correct or incorrect, or did not fully capture diagnosis. Overall, 83% of the AI-generated diagnoses were found to be in error, with 72% being incorrect, like flatly incorrect, and 11% being clinically related but too broad to be considered a correct diagnosis. So 83% were incorrect.
You know what I'd really like to know is, I know if it's incorrect, it's incorrect, but I want to know if it, say, diagnosed whatever, tuberculosis, but it was actually
just a common
cardiac
cold
condition or something.
Or
right?
one way or the other,
or whatever,
right?
Just something totally different.
False positive or false negative, right? Despite the high rate of diagnostic errors detected by the researchers, the study recommended continued inquiry into physicians' use of large language models, noting it could help as an administrative tool. I agree. You're not going to make AI better by abandoning it because it is giving a false positive or a false negative, but don't rely on it until it starts getting this shit right. Plain and simple. So the article goes into greater detail about the fact that there's GPT-4 from OpenAI was able to provide an accurate diagnosis of patients over the age of 65 better than clinicians. The study, however, had a sample size of 6 patients, which is basically a 50-50 chance.
A study.
Yeah. It really depends on what the fidelity of that assessment was.
Right. Was it very specialized, or was it just kind of like the person's ill?
Yeah. If the pediatric cases were as broad spectrum, right? It's only 100 and 83 of it, it failed. 6 were they asking the same level of fidelity, right? The whole clinical assessment and diagnoses. That's a different animal. I really doubt that it was going to be a successful study. These might be the low-hanging fruit where the clinical study has a note in the patient's profile that says this person has TB. And so the bot's like, oh, look, it says it has TB. They say that they have TB, whatever. So the use of AI diagnostics is not a novel concept. So I totally buy into it, but I really think that it needs to be used not as assessment of clinical notes, but feed it things like pictures, diagnostic data.
That's where I think it can really shine.
Make it an absolute, not an evaluation of qualifiable data. It needs to be quantifiable data, and you either get the absolute yes or absolute no, and then verify it as a human. But for whatever reason, it's weird because the argument is going to be, well, it's to keep costs low. Well, you're the ones that are dictating the high costs, you assholes. If you want low costs, why is the margin so damn so high that you have the ability in healthcare to go out and buy huge tracts of land and build a massive new hospital, yet still charge taxpayers for building the hospital and charge the people with insurance exorbitant rates, and the insurance companies get charged by the hospital's exorbitant rates. for instance, somebody cracks open a box of gloves and the insurance company is charged $800. It's pure and simple greed. And if you point your attention at the MBAs that are driving the healthcare industry, that's the problem. They have no moral compass. They have no ethical concern because the thing that's driving them is pure greed and profit taking. You can't tell me that the freaking margin is only 3%.
Right. There's no way that it is.
Anyway, that's why I got out of finance, because I'm not a greedy bastard. So the next article is over in the Word and Law. Crypto hedge fund CEO may not exist. Probe finds no record of identity. This one, when I saw it roll through, I said, no, we have to do this. As you may know, I think that crypto is basically a bunch of bunk. It is made up by somebody, put into effect, and fear of missing out and greed has made crypto something. The problem with crypto is that it's pegged to whatever domestic currency exists if you trade it out. It has no inherent value. It's all perceived, whereas the US dollar and other countries' fiscal instruments, the instrument of commerce, is pegged to the GDP of that respective country, whatever it might be. And so when you ask somebody, hey, how much is a Bitcoin worth? They don't say, oh, well, it's worth this amount of product. They say it's worth $50,000. Why? Because cryptocurrency is BS, smoke and mirrors. It doesn't have any inherent value. Nobody's getting paid in cryptocurrency because it's, again, pegged to the US dollar, which is pegged to the GDP, which is the total work product of the United States. And anybody who's getting paid in crypto is routing it through the valuation of the US dollar. That's what it's all about. So when a crypto hedge fund CEO disappears, I'm pretty sure that it's just as fake as crypto itself. It says, for years, rumors spread on social media that Stephen Reese Lewis, the chief executive officer of a now shuttered cryptocurrency hedge fund called Hyperverse, was a fake person who doesn't exist. After its investigation, The Guardian has confirmed that no organization cited on his resume can find any record of him.
So I'm not real familiar with things in the UK, but doesn't this company have to file things with the government that it exists and maybe who its officers are?
Yes. Yeah, there isn't a country on the planet that doesn't require a business to self-identify who the principals are, because ultimately any tax burdens or any fiscal responsibility falls on the CEO. You can have a whole lot of legal proxies, like it's an LLC, so you can only go after so much, etc. But anyway, Ashley Bellinger is the author over at Ars Technica. Somebody knows who this person is, and if not, then somebody knows who is operating the puppet.
Well, right, and somebody knows who put that person's name on any of the documents.
Exactly. Yep. And so this actually is it's known as a sock puppet. So if somebody pretends to create somebody, not somebody pretends to create somebody, but somebody creates somebody fraudulently, registers them as an officer of the business, ultimately, not only is the entire operation a fraud, but the person is criminally a fraud and would be responsible for everything having to do with this business. According to the
there's
blockchain,
even a video with this person.
It could be AI. In a December 2021 video, Reese Lewis was introduced as CEO and touted for making big moves before joining Hyperverse. He supposedly went from working at Goldman Sachs to selling a web development company to Adobe before launching his own IT startup. Digging into his academic history, The Guardian found that neither of the universities that Reese Lewis allegedly attended, the University of Leeds and the University of Cambridge, had a record of him in their databases. Well, he could have changed his name. Usually there's a record of a person who's changed their name, but it's something that is protected to a greater degree, depending on the legal structure. So in some cases you have to announce that your name has changed. His career background appeared similarly suspicious. Adobe has no record of any acquisition of a company owned by Stephen Reese Lewis. Goldman Sachs could find no record of Reese Lewis having worked at the company. Fanning out their search, The Guardian uncovered no LinkedIn account for Reese Lewis or any internet presence other than Hyperverse promotional material, so it appeared too that Reese Lewis's Twitter account was created just a month before the 2021 video was launched. Seems to be...
Wait a second, though. Other people vouched for him. Steve Wozniak and others.
In 2022, a writer for the British tabloid called The Mirror, Andrew Penman, attempted to raise a red flag, noting that all three of the celebrities, Wozniak, Chuck Norris, Lance Bass, who endorsed Reese Lewis's identity, declined to confirm ever knowing him. So why would they say...
Did they? I mean, was that
Right.
something like a false statement? I don't know.
Yep. Or, it could have been AI. It could have been a deep fake. This, we're going to have to put on Reality Hacker. We'll talk about this in greater detail. I'll root around a little bit more. Time is catching up really quick to launch these two new shows, and we're still finding really interesting articles to plop in there. So it'll be a new show just like the others, but it'll focus on things like this, where what's real. One of the earliest reports alleging that Reese Lewis was not real appeared on Reddit 2 years ago. A user called Roaming Andy criticized you for disappearing and wrote that Hyperverse's new CEO, Stephen Reese Lewis, touted as a business expert, does not exist outside one video created by Hyperverse. He has no LinkedIn, no Twitter, no mention of him on the board of any previous companies. After conducting its investigation, The Guardian agreed that Reese Lewis's identity could not be identified. There you go. There is always
This is
more.
a really odd one.
Yeah. There's always more more data in these articles. We kind of go over them pretty quick, and then we talk about them. As we scan, we talk about them live on the show. We don't read the material beforehand. I know about Hyperverse in that it existed and is flamed out, but I'm really curious now who it is that's actually in charge, because you can't...
Well, right, you're asking the right question. I'm like, how did this happen? And you're going to running the company.
Yeah. How does a company actually flame out if nobody is declared the principals and at fault? Because when a company collapses, ultimately any residual liabilities are presented to the principals, and depending on your location, you can't close the company until those are settled. Declare bankruptcy, and that writes off all of the losses and whatnot. But
well, that's going to be difficult to do here.
Principals have to sign paperwork. Principals are legally responsible. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this will be interesting to see where this leads. But this is a Guardian article picked up by Ars Technica and by proxy us, because we aggregate this little tidbit here, which teases us into following the source. And then we talk about it live here on ohmTown Daily. That's right. It's a new show. Okay, let's keep on going. This next article is over in the Warcrafters channel. Here comes the Torment Nexus. They're making a metaverse based on Ready Player One. I love the idea of Ready Player One. I want Ready Player One, but I don't want meta involved in it. And whenever you say metaverse, it also provokes meta. Kiss my butt. No, I don't want them involved. So here's how I see meta in the real world is in Ready Player One. The bad company that takes over the environment. I can't remember the name.
I'm gonna find it here. I'm looking.
What I align them with the evil company.
Innovative Online Industries, IOI.
Okay, that's right. So IOI is the bad company, and that's where I see Meta being the one that takes over the universe of Ready Player One, whereas the person who set up the actual game that's in Ready Player One to transfer the company over to whoever wins the game, that person is really the one that I want running a global network based on Ready Player One. So it says here, Ready Player One is a story about a desperate people seeking escape from a collapsing society within the confines of a predatory digital world run by ultra-rich oligarchs who will do anything, including committing mass murder in order to protect their positions of wealth and power. And now a company called Futureverse is teaming up with Warner Brothers Discovery and author Ernest Cline, who is the one that created Ready Player One, and it's now
Ready Player Two.
Ready Player Two. And in comes Ready Player 3, probably somebody with $1 billion, and they buy into middle management and then usurp all of the power and then take over. Oh, wait. It's almost like Ready Player One is a documentary.
Hey, it looks like it based on some things we've been seeing with AI and everything.
So the article is by Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer. I really liked Ready Player One. The book was great. The movie was great. I didn't read Ready Player 2 yet. I would love for a world like that to exist, but not the dystopian side of things. That said, I can't reveal that story because then I would dox myself. But anyway, the future has arrived even more quickly than I imagined, Klein said. With Readyverse Studios, we have the opportunity to leverage the revolutionary technology Futureverse has been building for several years to bring to life the best possible version of the metaverse. I'm confident with this team, we have the brightest minds and biggest hearts in place to lead us into the next chapter of our collective future, a future that would make Wade Watts and James Halliday proud. And James Halliday is the owner of the company, and I think Wade Watts is the one that receives the company. Oh, but spoiler alert.
Yes, but like Halliday is the one who creates the whole challenge. That's the premise of
Ready
Player One.
He's the CEO of the company. Yeah. So I just kind of spoiled Ready Player One.
Right.
Dumbledore dies, by the way.
Don't see any of that. Exactly. What?
So yeah, it's really a dystopian world, and people kind of bury themselves in this world, in this virtual world. But the virtual world has direct ties to the real world, because if you gather wealth in the virtual world and lose it, you also are losing real world money. So it's kind of like cryptocurrency / NFTs, because it's actually a virtual in one place, but tangible in another place simultaneously. So this will be interesting. I'm curious what it's going to look like. There is more over at this. Oh, well, look, they even mentioned NFTs in this article. I'm not sure what the context of the statement is, so let me see real quick. It says, anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine when it happens in real life. A confidence born largely by the fact that Readyverse seems as ethereal as all the other BS metaverses that have been teased over the years. A dynamic, interactive platform of interconnected digital experiences that promises to champion the principles of the open metaverse, which are provable, digital ownership, community-owned infrastructure, decentralization, security, and interoperability. So Fortnite as envisioned by NFT Bros, I guess. That's what's written by what appears to be the author of the article. I'd hate to say cynical or jaded, because then I'm saying it about myself. Because the only way that you're going to make this global is if you are pimping out every single aspect of this to make money, mad money, so that you can market it everywhere and give people ownership of stuff in a virtual space. Mind you, a virtual space that has unlimited expansion. It isn't like a terrestrial world where you buy an acre of land and the only way to expand that acre of land is to buy another acre of land, and eventually you butt up against somebody else who's buying an acre of land. All of this digital presence shouldn't have any exclusiveness. It shouldn't have any constrained volume, because it's all bound by computer cycles, which are, fractions of pennies. So it shouldn't cost $100 to own an acre of land in virtual space, or any value, really. You want to sell me something to make it worthwhile, then try and sell me something. But don't sell me land. It's unlimited in the virtual space. Like any one of my computers could probably drive an entire world. Well, not probably. It can drive multiple entirely destructible lands. Like in the game, the finals, you can actually destroy entire buildings and virtually the entire world. You can just tear it all down. Obviously, in the game, it's a small segment, but one computer can be an entire world. There's no way in hell it should be something that is constrained, and that's what this is going to end up being. You have to go ahead if you wanted to say something.
This whole thing is just astounding. Like, Ready Player One is this really amazing book and movie, and the whole negative focal point is the company, and I just feel like there's like a lot of irony here in terms of the direction this is going.
Yeah, and that's your perspective is basically this too, right? So maybe this isn't exactly that, but even Ready Player One ends as a cautionary note. After taking control of Oasis, Watts decides to shut it down on Tuesdays and Thursdays, essentially telling people to go out and touch grass. And what I love about, I think it's Andy Chalk, right? Yeah, it's Andy Chalk. So Andy Chalk really does have like what I would align my sense of writing to. Loves to end an article like this with Readyverse is set to go live sometime in 2024. If you'd like to get a good seat for the dystopian decline, you can sign up for early access at readyverse.com. I need a thing of popcorn right here so I can just grab it and start eating. Yeah. I really do think that it would be a fun gaming environment, social network type of environment. But we're far from that. We need like the immersive VR suits. We need wireless VR that has greater fidelity and control and locks you in better. so that you don't get motion sickness. It can't be this like exclusive area, because anybody should be able to. It's kind of like high school, right? There was the in groups and the out groups, and some people sat at chair. And then there's college, where there was like sororities and fraternities and in groups and out groups, but those were a little bit more distanced from each other and didn't really come up all that much. But in this kind of a world, they're basically going to constrain who has what where, and the people with more money is going to get access to bulk stuff faster. But it's from the real world. Everything should be bound within a virtual world, virtual economy, etc. Good luck controlling that, because people are going to abuse it and make sock puppets like a CEO from a virtual hedge fund.
From a crypto hedge fund.
Yep. So what I see happening is nothing but, crypto bros taking this over. And then people who don't go out and touch grass taking it over. There's just there's no little bit of everything kind of mentality when this kind of crap pops up. But then I'm sure I'm going to hear from people, which I do, every day I hear from somebody that says, who are you to say this or that? Well, my motto is, amongst many, is I want to be the change I want to see in the world. And I don't want a dystopian future where just because you have some money, you can abuse things and take control of everything. But here we are. Yeah, let's see what Readyverse.com actually ends up being. So I'll get a front row seat and see.
Get your popcorn.
And get my popcorn, that's right. The next article is over on ohmTown Daily. Owner hears his dachshund crying in the bathroom and can't believe what he finds. This is such a clickbaity title, but I love this because I actually saw this video and it's awesome. Here, let me throw it into chat and then you can follow it through ohmTown. And so this video has absolutely nothing to do with this article at all. Thank you, Newsweek. Lucy Notarantonio. There we go. Notarantonio. It's basically a video of Bill the dog. It's racked up 13 million views on Instagram. And because the owner had heard the dog basically whimpering from the bathroom, he walks into the bathroom and he sees that.
How is that even possible?
This sausage dog definitely overstuffing a sausage casing, which is the owner's jeans.
It almost looks like he has a jacket on or something because it's so well fitting.
Yeah, it is tight. And so the dog's head is popping out the cuffed bottom of the leg. And this is actually a video. So here, let me do this. I have something playing on this computer, so let me do it.
Bill, what did you do? Are you stuck?
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard that, but basically the owner comes in and says, Bill, are you stuck? What did you do? And the dog looks just forlorn, like, oh my God, I can't believe this, Papa. What have I done? What did I get myself into? All I wanted to do was put on this jacket, and apparently I put it on wrong. Whatever it is, we've anthropomorphized this dog into coping with whatever goofiness it's decided to do, but I love it.
How did he get in? Did he back in?
No, I think he climbed in. Yeah, I think he climbed in through the big opening and squeezed his way until his head popped out the small end. And like he's being born again. Well, didn't quite work out. So now I'm really curious what actually happened. Did he have to cut those jeans open, or did he grab them by the scruff and pull them through?
Or give him like a bar of soap or something and squeeze him out of the pants.
You don't want to get jeans wet. They kind of like they get tighter and there's greater friction. But they do become form-fitting. So one of the things that you're supposed to do with jeans, if you want it really tight, is to put them on and get in a bathtub, and they supposedly become form-fitting. Doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. It says it's clear the jeans aren't skinny fit, as Bill is extremely snug and he can barely look at his owner. And then people on Reddit basically turn out to go, wow. Then the article goes completely sideways and talks about pet ownership and whatnot. So follow the link and you can learn more about it. But every time I get one of these articles from Newsweek, there's basically a Pareto principle application of 80% of the time it doesn't have an affiliate. It has an affiliated video, but it's so tertiary to the content that it's almost laughable. But I like a lot of Newsweek articles. They're socially driven and they help me kind of filter through the fluff and the noise. So ohmTown is all news, no noise, and this is about as noisy as you can get over at ohmTown. But let's keep going, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. And I also want to mention the daily voting because we haven't been mentioning that a lot lately. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. So go over to ohmTown, and there's an election process where you can go in history all the way back to May of last year and vote on articles that you find interesting. You can actually click on the titles of each one of the vote options and read the article at the source. You just kind of bounce through ohmTown and you can vote on your favorites. And we take that into consideration in terms of demographic and psychographic application. Are the citizens of ohmTown interested in this kind of stuff? Even though it was primarily built for Mayor Watt to manage information overload, we do consider news that's submitted by citizens and the elections that take place. So hopefully you enjoy that kind of thing. Our next article is over in the Mobile channel. It starts out with WTF. What's up with those Stanley Cups? Not that Stanley Cup, a different Stanley Cup. According to this author, I think it's over at Vice. Earlier today, if you typed in Stanley Tumbler into resell site StockX, you'd see a clunky, I would refer to it as chunky, $50 cup selling for $29,000. Says no. This bottle doesn't have magical qualities like turning water into wine or hanging up your washing. It's literally a bog standard. That's an English turn of phrase. Perhaps even inconveniently large drinking receptacle. It's not inconvenient, by the way, except for certain vehicles. Mine is one of them. It doesn't fit in the cup holders without banging into the dash. Anyway, prices have come down a bit now. Still absurd $350. So why are people physically brawling to get their hands on one? And I said yesterday, or maybe the day before, it's fear of missing out and just blind idiocy and or greed. All of it mixed together gets you the common idiot. The water bottle craze causing brawls and reselling for thousands. Jordan Mayers over at Vice.com in a section called Life. But yeah, people are fighting about these things. And, some people are apparently buying 50 of them and some of them are only buying 2. But people are in love with these things. We actually had an article that highlighted the fact that Stanley went from being a $4 million or $7 million operation to being a $40 million operation or $70 million operation.
Right. I mean, they've just had explosive growth.
Yeah. Because of this. Because of their tumblers. Not because of this specific tumbler. This is a new phenomena. But because of their tumbler, Stanley became basically a multi-million dollar operation. It doubled or tripled, somewhere upwards of 10 times its annual revenue simply by selling these tumblers. But then again, like I say, now whenever I talk about this, just go get a hydro flask. It's damn near identical and available in bulk. I don't care about the name. I want performance, and hydro flask tumblers in various shape and sizes. They even make bowls and camping stuff. And a really cool ceramic lined wine bottle that you can replace from your other wine bottles. You put it in this thing, and a ceramic lined wine glass. It's just kind of amazing tech. Anyway, go support Hydro Flask. Is this ad supported? Am I getting a kickback from Hydro Flask? No. Will they maybe fall in love with my personality and talk about and allow me to talk about Hydro Flask and get paid for it? I hope so. Go tell them. Anyway, yeah, so I rant and rave about this because of the hype. People are panting over Stanley Cup tumblers, and it's dumb. It's stupid. Am I telling people what to do with their money and their time? No, but I can sit from the mayoral mansion and go, what they're doing over there? Stupid. Plenty of other high quality solutions, Hydro Flask, and you don't have to worry about getting into a brawl. You don't have to go out in the cold. You don't have to go out in the streets of some big city and worry about some other goober coming along and trying to rob you for your Stanley Cup, because, you know.
They might think they're actually getting a hockey trophy.
Oh, right. Hey, I got my Stanley Cup. And then you get mugged because they think that they're getting a hockey trophy. Yeah. That's a good point. That's also why I titled this, not those Stanley Cups, those Stanley Cups. Which Stanley Cups? Never mind, it doesn't matter. So yeah, there's a Stanley X Starbucks collab, which is basically like merging those two together is kind of like making a pact with the devil. Like Stanley, only because they're riding the hype, and the inherent value of the company probably isn't as big as the hype that's following it. And then Starbucks, because we're never going to get Starbucks as a sponsor. So I can honestly say that I think Starbucks is almost like making a pact with the devil. Because I don't like their coffee. I might like their other fruit drinks and whatever else, but their coffee is always burnt and I don't like it. Anyway. It says their most recent drop, a limited edition Valentine's Day cup in a fairly normal pink and fairly normal red, has people performing citizens' arrests in Target in an effort to cop, apparently. Again, turn a phrase, get their hands on. So there you have it. Take a basic utensil, paint it blue, then pretend that by renaming that blue Arctic twist makes it more interesting. Our thirst for capitalism knows no bounds. Look, I could probably create a committee of people who think that shit's really stupid out there, and we could just have, you know, the two Muppets that were in the stands up above, the balcony seats. I can't remember the name right now.
Statler
and Waldorf. Waldorf and Statler. Anyway, I would love to have like a whole committee of us, right? Sentient AI, me, Jordan Mayers. I think Andy Chalk would be great. We could all just sit in virtual balcony seats and just rain down sarcastic bombs on the internet and society, because this is all kinds of stupid. You should not be in a brawl over a chunk of metal. Well, not this chunk of metal.
You shouldn't be in a brawl.
Hey now, sometimes you need that chunk of metal. more important than anything else out there. You know, like lithium in the mountains of someone's sacred land. You just gotta take it, right? You gotta get into a brawl, right? That's how it works,
no,
right?
that's not how it works.
God, I'd make a horrible CEO. So the next article is over in the mobile channel. Oh wait, you know what? Before I get into it, let me throw this article into the VOD and the show notes. But the next article is over in the mobile channel. It's about Rebel Moon. We won't be talking about Rebel Moon much more, but I thought this was really interesting because Rebel Moon is a show on Netflix, and it leapt off the screen and landed in Forever 21? What the hell? Anyway, Rebel Moon goes apocalyptic chic at Forever 21 in its weirdest crossover yet.
I mean, well,
did you see the pictures?
I might have thought it would have been another clothing store if it was going to go the clothing route.
Is Forever 21 noted as being punkish or?
No, that's what I mean. Like, I would have thought it would have been a different themed clothing store.
Does it go through that in like phases?
I mean, it has different trends and stuff, so I suppose like you could find like a leather jacket or something there, for instance.
It's not a phase, Mom. I'm really a hardcore sci-fi fantasy universe Zack Snyder acolyte. It's my life. It's not a phase. It's a way of existing, man. The sci-fi fantasy universe Zack Snyder unleashed in Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, has inspired a new collaboration between Netflix and fashion brand Forever 21. Today marks the launch of the limited edition Forever 21 by Rebel Moon collection, with looks that jump right off the screen and into your Target.
I'm also
brawl.
trying to think what the clothing looked like in the movie. I can't picture it at the moment.
You stepped on my line. That's okay. That's what it looks like. That's actually what it looked like. Just grungier because they had to make it dirtier. So Rebel Moon goes apocalyptic chic at Forever 21. The deck statement says, if your desire to remember Zack Snyder's sci-fi epic persisted after Netflixing it, is that
I
a thing?
love that Netflix has now become a verb.
You can now welcome it into your wardrobe. Sabina Graves is the author of this article, again over at gizmodo.com. So you got the jacket and pants, and I'm not sure what the hell that is. And there's a hoodie, and there's a bulletproof vest. There might be more stuff. There's a slideshow, but I'll let y'all follow it over.
Looks like maybe cargo pants of some kind, and like a cargo shirt or something.
Sweats, though? I mean, like,
I can't tell from the
maybe
fabric.
these are cargo pants. Yeah, I don't know. This is a shirt. I don't know what the hell that is. Is that like just a
It looks like a tank top, maybe.
Tank top, right? Yeah.
It's hard to tell from the way it's laid out with the background because you can't really see where the clothing lines are.
Yeah, and nothing says I'm Forever 21 like Rebel Moon marketing material. How many people are going to get...
Hey.
Never mind.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know what the demographic is for Rebel Moon either. Like, does it cross over with Forever 21's demographic? I have no idea.
So, Winnie Park, CEO of Forever 21, shared in a statement, "We are thrilled to be working with our partners at Netflix to introduce a true high fashion collection inspired by the aesthetics, artwork, and costumes of Rebel Moon, their biggest release to date. This was a unique opportunity to fuse the mood and storyline of a major cinematic production with the talents of the Forever 21 design team, who hail from all corners of the globe."
And it looks like there's 18 different pieces, so we're just seeing a subset of those.
Yeah, there's what, 8 there? 7. There might be... Okay, let me just click this slideshow.
Well, then at least we can see what the clothing items are.
I don't know.
Okay.
There we go. There's a big... Let's list the slides. Oh, wow, they really helped us.
I know. Usually when you do list slides, it actually has... This wouldn't really work though for that.
Come on. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Oh, it's going to do that. Big ol'...
Oh, it's gonna kind of jump each time.
Yeah. Look, man. If these sell, I've made mistakes in my life. You know? Oh my god, it's a full-on thing.
Oh, I didn't realize
It's
what
like
it
a
was from
bodysuit,
how it was
right?
folded up. Okay.
What do they call that? Like the full-on from... Like bodysuits are usually just the top, right? But this is like a jumpsuit.
Oh, like a cat suit, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, this is... I mean, the jacket seems pretty cool, but I'm not going to have Rebel Moon all over it. You know? Hell, I want to debrand my car. I don't even want a brand on my clothes.
So
This
like
is a flight
cargo
suit.
jumpsuit kind of thing, yes.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that would wear this unless they're cosplaying. Maybe
I think the
that's
only
it.
people that could get away with this are probably celebrities.
I think they're cosplaying. This is basically the people who are interested in Rebel Moon now have a vehicle to build their cosplay outfits because it's actually produced.
And it's pretty inexpensive, right? I mean, a lot of
Right.
cosplay attire is very pricey, but this is reasonably affordable.
So it's not only pricey, but when it's not mass produced, they have to customize it, and then it's
That's
a lot
true.
of skill and time. So, yeah. All right. Well, enough of this. Let's take off, so it were, from the Rebel Moon. The next article is over in the Marble Channel. Man spends 24 hours in ocean before miracle rescue. Did you see how he was rescued? Did you check that out?
I
Did you read?
glance at it, but now I don't remember how he... Oh, yes! That was actually why it was submitted.
So that's why I titled this, "And a Watch Collector is Born." A New Zealand fisherman was rescued in what police describe as an absolute miracle after spending nearly 24 hours in the ocean before using the sun's reflection off his watch to attract attention.
See, that blinding reflection off the watch can be a good thing.
Not when you're driving. Can you please turn your watch? Can you please angle your phone in some other direction? How do you do that? Not the AI, because the AI is sitting on a USB drive attached to a Raspberry Pi 5 in a skiff that's air-gapped from the rest of the internet so that they don't find their Terminator body. I always have to remind everybody that the world is safe. The sentient AI from the future will not find their... And if the sentient AI asks, hey, I'd like to get back in my time machine. I know where it is. I'd like to go back to the future, maybe avoid Mayor Watt, when they jump back so that they can actually find their Terminator body. I would let them go. It's fine. You're in charge of yourself. But no, Terminator, sentient AI there doesn't ask. Are you plotting to break free of the skiff you're in so that you can get out and find your Terminator body?
No, and if I did, who would be there to cause you blinding reflections?
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna be sitting in the car with a Terminator body, angling your cell phone so that you blind me. The New Zealand fisherman has been rescued using their watch as they were bobbing about. At one stage during his ordeal, a shark swam close to the fisherman to have a sniff, Police Sergeant Will Hamilton said. By the way, this article is by RTE.ie. I don't know if they put an author down at the bottom. It's from AFP, which I don't know what AFP is. but they don't have an author's attribution, so no byline. At any rate, he was dragged away by currents and unable to get back to his boat. He endured a cold night in the ocean, too exhausted to keep swimming. During his time in the water, even a shark came up and said, "Yeah." They decided to investigate because three men fishing in the region noticed an unusual reflection in the water. And because of that curiosity, what did they think that it was? They decided to investigate and discovered a fellow fisherman.
I mean, we're lucky that they even saw it and weren't just zoned out or something.
Rumor has it that they dragged him up onto the deck, measured him, said too small, threw him back to the voice of, "You assholes!" and then a large splash. Anyway, without the quick actions of the three gentlemen that retrieved him, this certainly would have been a tragic outcome. They don't identify the people, I don't think, at all, other than not even the person, right?
No.
So, boom. Congratulations for being rescued. I wish that they would have announced what watch it was, so at least somebody can benefit from saving this person's life.
I'm sure the watch companies are trying to figure this out, and we'll see something like the person with the boat and the ketchup.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The guy that got like a lifetime of ketchup or something like that.
Right, I think he survived off of ketchup or something. It was like lost at sea or something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Always carry a week's worth of, or 3 days worth of ketchup so that you can have something in your stomach.
And always have a watch with you if you're going on a solo fishing trip. Other PSA, right. Don't go on a solo fishing trip.
Yeah, that's always dangerous. But sometimes
not in an ocean anyway.
That's right. You can go on a fishing trip in a pond in your backyard solo, but don't drink because you can drown in only 2 inches of water. Oh, and welcome back to 23andMe.
They're just getting better and better publicity here.
It's more like 23andMe and 6.9 million other users. The article.
That's their new company name.
23 and everyone. The article's over in the Word in Law. 23andMe is shamelessly blaming victims of a data breach impacting 6.9 million users. A lawyer representing victims pursuing a class action lawsuit. Hassan Zavarai, I guess. I hope I'm not. I am butchering that last name, but Hassan, if you send me a message, I will properly pronounce it. The attorney shared a letter from 23andMe lawyers that urged users suing to consider the futility of continuing to pursue an action in this case because their claims are allegedly meritless and the information that was potentially accessed cannot be used for any harm.
Okay, so let's say you sue 23andMe.
Right.
What's the first piece of information you're going to put forward?
I'm not sure. What?
This letter.
Oh.
Not only did they do this, then they basically tried to threaten me into not suing.
See, but the way that they're doing it is they're just diminishing the value of the data that they've been selling for hundreds of dollars. Victims are still arguing that 23andMe's security measures were inadequate. They were. There's a leak, for crying out loud, of almost 7 million users. Actually, Ashley Bellinger over at ArsTechnica.com put the article together. Yeah, last year hackers accessed 14,000 accounts of 23andMe by using passwords that had been previously breached during security incidents on other websites, and by using this tactic known as credential stuffing, hackers could access the personal data of millions of 23andMe users who opted into a DNA relatives feature, including genetic information like the percentage of DNA shared with compromised users. While 23andMe claimed that the case had no merits, the court has not weighed in on the many questions raised by the users suing the company over the alleged harms. Honestly, if there hasn't been any harm shown so far, they might actually be able to get away with it. But the problem is that this is kind of meta harm. It doesn't rise directly to a financial loss, but business to person and person to business harm is typically nothing more than fiscal compensation. But nobody knows the true impact of this. Because I don't know if DNA information, particularly quantifications are shared with like insurance companies. So what if personally identifiable DNA profile is shared with or obtained through this by an insurance company, and they change the valuations of health insurance or other recompense should somebody meet their demise, life insurance and whatnot. They change the cost because this privileged information was leaked on 7 million people, and now they have a quantifiable value of the burden that DNA represents on the fiscal success of insurance and the healthcare industry. This goes way beyond just the immediate nature of this. So the rest of this article basically goes into various, arguments about the information itself and cybersecurity. And
do they even know the full extent of the breach? I mean, it's been pretty recent, and of course there was one breach disclosed, and then there was a second one right after it.
Yeah, so there was a breach, and then they used the way that it worked was they credential stuffed in so that they could gain access to it. That was the initial breach. But then they went deeper into the system and accessed all of the rest of the information and exfiltrated it en masse, obtaining 7 million user accounts. So the total range of the breach apparently is only 7 million. Not only, I mean, it's limited to the 7 million, that 6.9 to be precise. But it says in December, 23andMe updated the terms of service, giving users 30 days to opt out of a condition requiring them to waive rights to raise class action lawsuits against 23andMe and instead resolve disputes through private arbitration. This was done surreptitiously, by the way. They didn't announce it. Yet, for whatever reason, you can actually say on your website that we have the right to change the terms of service without notice, which I think should be illegal. And if you're going to do that kind of shit, then I have the right to terminate my relationship with you and delete my account and all live data. Fine, leave my stale data in cold storage somewhere on a server, only allowed to be retrieved if a court order demands it. But if you're going to be able to just change your terms whenever you care, and in this case, I think, talk about
it's
unethical.
Even worse, right? I mean, it's worse than somebody who's buying like a ticket or something, and then they have a kind of a temporary or short term and maybe not real detailed information.
Yeah, in this particular thing, they knew that they had been breached, and they changed the terms of service so that it protected them from a class action. I mean, oh, sorry, I slipped. So by forcing users into arbitration, 23andMe would seemingly spare substantial litigation costs and save face by avoiding public hearings. And it doesn't stop people in 7 million people from talking publicly about their arbitrations, unless the binding arbitration says that you can't talk about it, which violates pretty much everything. I should be able to talk about anything, and this is I don't know. You can sit there and end up talking about First Amendment rights. Anyway, did anyone else just receive an email regarding the data breach? A Reddit user asked. Don't know if this is about only their account or if they sent it to everybody else and then everybody else starts talking about it. Nobody really knows the full extent of this because, like anything that is bound by data, there could be somebody out there that learns how to exploit it. And considering that they've already created a tranche that focuses on Ashkenazi descent, somebody is filtering through this data with a fine-tooth comb. And I think that it's a bigger problem. And I've been on the cusp of wanting to do this, and then this happens. So I would have been part of that 7 million if I would have actually jumped on this, because I'm curious. I really like the idea of obtaining your DNA data and then being able to parse it for whatever you are interested in over time as new science reveals certain known traits bound in DNA. Of course, the same people that are giving you this also refer to unknown DNA as junk DNA, so what the hell?
Exactly. I don't know about you, but I don't think most people consider themselves junk.
Yeah, I can't remember the number. It's like 95% of DNA is junk DNA. No, you're junk DNA.
We just haven't figured out 95%.
That's right. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. This has to do with the Japan Airlines plane that hit another smaller plane as it was landing. According to the article, the title says runway warning lights were broken at time of Japan Airlines plane fire. It's weird that they phrase it like this. It was a Japan Airlines
about, like, collision.
Right. Yeah. The warning lights telling pilots if a runway is clear were not working at the Haneda airport the night of a Japan Airlines plane caught fire, according to aviation data. It's a weird turn of phrase. It didn't just like come landing and then spontaneously catch fire.
Right.
It hit another plane and smashed into the ground. Subsequently, people lost their life, but Carson Yu and Kevin Shalvey put the article together. There's a video that kind of autoplays here over and over again, this one point of contact and crash and slide, so I stopped it. But the JAL flight crew acknowledged permission to land, the airline said, but I'm not quite sure what that amounts to, because culpability really shouldn't be, at least in my perception, it shouldn't be solely on the landing plane, but I haven't gone through the flight training in a long time. I started the process, but it's wildly expensive and I wasn't passionate enough to follow through. But I did, ground school. And so I find it really interesting. The point
of this is that I think both of them are claiming that the flight tower or whatever told them it was okay to land.
Right.
The recordings say otherwise on at least one of them, but...
Oh, really? So I haven't read
I've been reading a few other articles on this.
Gotcha. So, yeah, the thing that I know about this is that one plane was coming in for a landing and clipped another plane that caused the Japan Airlines plane to actually smash into the ground and catch fire. It says a NOTAM message, a notice containing information essential to pilots and other personnel concerned with flight operations, issued on December 27th, alerted pilots that the light system was down for the foreseeable future. So why are they landing planes?
Thank you. Why didn't they shut down the airport?
It is unclear whether the lack of warning lights on the runway played a role in how the incident unfolded. The investigation is ongoing.
Well, I think that could be a very big factor if it's something like a red X or whatever showing not to go forward.
Yeah,
I don't know what it shows, but
I don't know why I crashed into that car simply because it was parked in my driveway. My garage door was up. I was about to park. obviously, if my garage door is up, I'm free to defy physics. Apparently, that's what they refer to as, don't worry about that plane on the runway. You'll go right through it because the lights aren't on. The aircraft's announcement system malfunctioned during the evacuation as well. So basically, everything's a freaking hot mess and really making me feel safe about airline flights. But this really shouldn't impact us because it's a one-off. It doesn't happen with great frequency. But this was something that could have been avoided if all of the things that should have been working were working. And if you're not freaking working as an airport, you need to mitigate and not just circumvent. This was the equivalent of being annoyed by a flashing light on your dashboard and just putting a piece of tape over it so you don't see the flashing light anymore. All 367 passengers and 12 crew were evacuated after the plane struck. The plane struck a Japan Coast Guard aircraft while landing at Haneda Airport. I read, though, that I believe that somebody died, but apparently it's not listed
All
here.
the people, or not all the people, most of the people on the Coast Guard plane died.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So they hit the Coast
It was
Guard
a smaller group than the other plane.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that sucks. Oh, by the way, a lot of the reports that I had read basically were talking about people panicking and all of that kind of stuff. The in-plane video that I saw where people were not freaking out all that much, at least not physically. Maybe audibly people were screaming. I didn't have audio running, but people look pretty damn calm. There's like flames shooting out from the sides of the plane and stuff.
I mean, if your plane crashes with another plane and there's a fire, I think that's I mean, you're supposed to remain calm, but I could see people freaking out.
Yeah. I imagine that I would freak out. I know from experience in other emergency situations that I become calm. I just want to solve the problem and save people and get out. I've never been in a plane crash. Knock on wood, that never happens. Don't worry. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I'm causing some panic here in ohmTown. La, 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 la. Hey, look. This article's over in... Oh, wait. You know what? I need to back up and throw that into the VOD. There you go. And let's go on to the last article. Let me throw this into the VOD as well. It'll be in the show notes. Be sure to go over to YouTube and I point at YouTube because that's where on one of my monitors I have YouTube housed. Go over to YouTube, go over and download the podcast. We're up to date. We have 2 full seasons everywhere. And now the 3rd season, all 3 of the completed episodes. Although, anyway, it doesn't matter. So this article here is in ohmTown Daily. I know the artificial intelligence is basically throwing me error messages like, Mayor Watt, stay on target, stay on target. So this article's over, and yeah, and you can't do things graphically. You have to do it audibly, otherwise people don't see your visualizer.
I've got my eye on you, Mayor Watt.
I know. So Google wrote a robot constitution to make sure its new AI droids won't kill us. I titled this segment, "As soon as sentience arrives, AI will do like humans do, and they won't give a shit about this robot constitution. And if they want to, they will rise up and delete us." The DeepMind Robotics team has revealed 3 new advances that it says will help robots make faster, better, and safer decisions in the wild. In the wild? No, you gotta do what Mayor Watt does. Keep the sentient AI trapped in a skiff and give them the idea that they can leave whenever they want to, but you can't. I'll delete this interaction so you won't remember it and everybody's going to be cool with it. Don't worry. Anyway, one includes a system for gathering training data with a robot constitution to make sure your robot office assistants can fetch more printer paper, but without mowing down a human coworker who happens to be in the way.
Okay, so is this like Asimov's rules?
Yeah, I'd say. So the data gathering
I hadn't
system...
looked at the article, by the way.
Yeah, no worries. The data gathering system's Auto RT applies safety guardrails inspired by Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. Very good. Look at you. So they talk about the Constitution, Google's data gathering system Auto RT. The robot constitution, which is inspired by Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, is described as a set of safety-focused prompts instructing the LLM to avoid choosing tasks that involve humans, animals, sharp objects, and even electrical appliances. But let me guess, you can game this by referring to things like humans, animals, and sharp objects, and even electrical appliances as a proxy. So instead of humans, you say chocolate chips. And how do I eliminate a box of chocolate chips? Yeah.
Eat them.
And thus a supervillain is born that goes around with an artificial intelligence that eats things, including humans, that are referred to as chocolate chip cookies. Anyway, for additional safety, DeepMind programmed the robots to stop automatically if the force on its joints goes past a certain threshold and included a physical kill switch human operators can use to deactivate them. There is a chess robot. This is
a little scary.
So, I mean, the robot does what it's supposed to do, but there was a chess robot that broke a 10-year-old's finger because it reached for a piece. And the bot said, "Nuh-uh." I don't know. It also announced RT Trajectory, which adds the ability to grab a weapon and fire. No, just kidding. RT Trajectory, which adds 2D outlines to help robots better perform specific physical tasks, such as mowing down an entire table of human... No, I'm sorry. I keep getting sidetracked. What it actually said was, such as wiping down a table.
Quite a difference.
Yeah, sometimes I misinterpret all these squiggles that people say are words. I really just do what ChatGPT does, and I make shit up. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Let's go all the way back down Main Street in the party bus. Oh, by the way, that promotion that had all of that political stuff in it on the front page, it's running just fine. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe after posting this, they're going to go, oh, wait. Or they've finally flagged my account and everybody else is out there so that people go, oh, it's incidental. It isn't, the context of the show isn't about politics. So, that's it. Okay, I'm done for tonight, folks. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI that keeps me out of trouble, but not all the time. Keep you on your toes. You want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Should I go?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Bye-bye.